podcast. It's been a while.
It's been a long while.
We've been super busy this past month.
We've had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but we're back. Don't worry. We're not
back and better than ever.
100%. So, we're going to be talking about the NFL draft, the 2022 NFL draft. And if you didn't see our last episode of the podcast, we gave our live reactions to the top 10, or the first 10 picks of the draft.
Who would not have listened to our last podcast?
I don't know, but if you haven't, if you're weird and haven't.
They've been yearning over these last few weeks.
Yes.
Wanting more. They've been deprived.
But after those first 10 picks, the first 10 picks were just meh.
First 10 picks were boring.
They were just, nothing interesting happened. It all felt so predictable.
And then all hell broke loose.
Yeah. There were trades left and right. We're going to talk about what teams we think did the best in the draft, what teams we think did the worst, and we're also going to talk about those type of trades and if we think those trades were good or not.
All right, let's jump in.
Where do you want to start? I think we
start... Are you going to start good or bad?
I think we start off with the trades, and the biggest one being A.J. Brown to the Eagles.
That, to me, came out of nowhere.
I did not think... I thought he was going to... We all knew he was most likely going to get traded. I did not think it was going to be to the Eagles, though.
I did not see that coming. That was the first surprise of the draft day. And it honestly happened right when we stopped recording. Our last podcast. Hey, great pickup for the Eagles. I think they signed him to like a 4 or 5 year deal right away.
Like $100 million.
Yeah, paying a ton of money. I think the Titans probably had to trade him because of salary cap issues, but yeah, that was a bombshell to me for it to happen.
Speaking of the Eagles, I think that they did have one of the best teams. You got a really good D lineman, Jordan Davis, who's like 6'6" or something stupid.
Do we think he's that good?
When you're 6'6",
I mean, he's a big man, but I'm not completely sold on that pick yet.
Well, you can't be sold on any pick yet. We don't know.
Oh, sure, there's picks I'm sold on.
And what are those picks?
We'll get there. All right, so
6'6".
So they got Jordan Davis. They obviously got A.J. Brown. I
think they got an L lineman. I'm pretty sure. I believe
definitely made their team better. Question is, do they have a quarterback that can get the ball to Jalen or to A.J. Brown?
Jalen Hurts is not a throwing guy. He's a run, get out of the pocket, and just sprint.
Well, he's got two pretty good wide receivers on the edge now.
Mm-hmm.
And
he has a pretty good tight end, too.
So we'll see. So you think the Eagles did really well?
I think the Eagles did pretty well. Very well. Good.
My first team that did really well, and it's probably obvious, but I think they are a much better team, is the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they got the cornerback, Sauce Gardner.
You got Garrett Wilson.
Great pick by Garrett Wilson. They got Jermaine Johnson, the defensive edge from Florida State.
Breece
they got
Hall.
him late in the first round. They got Breece Hall. They got Jeremy Ruckert, who is an underrated tight end. I think they had a phenomenal draft. Now, in that division, are they gonna win the division? No. Are they gonna make the playoffs? Probably not. Well, I will just go on a limb and say no. But are they better than they were before the draft? Absolutely. But I have the same concern with them that I just had with Philadelphia. They don't have a quarterback that can get the ball to Garrett Wilson or anybody else. I don't think Zach Wilson's gonna be a Big Ten quarterback in the NFL, but I guess we'll find out.
Another trade that was kind of no one really looks at it, and I understand, but Marquise Brown to the Cardinals, I don't care about that. I care about the draft picks. Arizona traded it was a first round pick for Marquise Brown.
Yeah, and they turned it into a great pick. That's the second team I think had a.
The Ravens did very well.
I think the Ravens did exceptionally well. They not sexy, not a lot of sexy picks, but they made their team significantly better. They got the safety from Notre Dame, Hamilton. They got a center from Iowa. They got, and I can never say the dude's name, the defensive end from Michigan, Ojabo. I can never say his name. But I think they got him in like round 2. So you're right. Baltimore with the trade and getting some picks in return, I think they had a really good draft.
I think they did too.
And then the last, it's not even a team, it's teams that I think had a really good draft. And this was one of my predictions before the draft started. I said someone was going to reach on a quarterback early in the first round because they always do. And nobody did. I mean, Malik Willis went to the Titans, round 3?
It was round 3, maybe. I don't think it was 4.
I think it was 3. But the first quarterback was Pickett that went to Pittsburgh at pick 20, somewhere in the 20s. Which I think everyone knew was going to happen. I was convinced someone was going to reach for Malik Willis or one of the other quarterbacks early in the draft. And
did not happen.
Congrats to all the teams that needed a quarterback that did not do that. That's Atlanta. That's Carolina. That's the Giants. That's Houston. That's Detroit. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but all of those teams that needed a quarterback, congratulations. You are going to suck next year, and you'll be in the running for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Listen, it's not a smart decision, but it wasn't the dumbest, because this was not a highly graded quarterback class.
No, that's why it was a great decision.
That's why it was a good decision. You are going to suck next year.
Yes.
But if you tank enough games, you could get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or one of the other quarterbacks.
That's exactly right. Instead of trying to reach on a quarterback this year, just suck again. Get a 1, 2, or 3 pick and go get one of the stud quarterbacks next year. It's a great decision. So congratulations to all those teams. You will suck again next year.
But you'll be maybe good the next year.
All right. Who did poorly?
I think the Patriots did poorly.
Really? Why?
It only feels like they pick O-linemen every single year.
Yeah, but that's where, again, those aren't sexy picks, but that's where your team gets better. O-line, D-line.
But even still, that O-line was already good. And you got another O-lineman.
Didn't they trade one of their O-linemen, though? I thought they traded one of their offensive starters.
To the Buccaneers, maybe.
I think you're right.
So maybe it might have been their center. So then they did draft a center, I'm pretty sure.
So they needed to fill that gap.
It was someone weird. Everyone was so surprised by the pick. It was strange.
But if you know the Patriots, and I'm not saying it's the right way, but if you know the Patriots' history of the draft, they always trade down. Every single year, it feels like. They'll take a first rounder and turn it into 2 second rounders, or they'll take a second rounder and turn it into a 4th and 5th rounder. That's just what Bill Belichick does, and he's a genius at it. So, I mean, I'm not disagreeing that they had a bad draft, but often. So I guess that segues into my first team, the Bears. The Bears did nothing.
The Bears.
Speaking of offensive line or lack thereof, so you allegedly have a franchise quarterback that you have confidence in and you want to build around, and you didn't have a first round pick because you gave it up to get Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But They had 2 second-round picks and took 2 defenders, 2 defensive guys. I think their third-round pick, they took a defensive guy. You have an atrocious offensive line that's going to get Justin Fields killed. Maybe not literally killed, but he's going to be running around like crazy and not have time to throw. And you have 0 weapons on the outside.
I think their best wide receiver is Byron Pringle.
And then they have Mooney, I do believe. Still
But Mooney,
no.
He's not that good. He's not good enough to carry.
Okay, if we're arguing about
offense.
Mooney or Byron Pringle as your number 1 wide receiver, you've got serious issues.
Yes.
So you've got a quarterback who was a rookie last year who needs to grow, and he needs hope to grow. So you need weapons, and you need an offensive line to protect him. And you got none of that in this draft. I really don't know what the Bears are doing. I'm so glad I'm not a Bears fan.
I'm so glad I'm not a Bears fan too.
So who are your teams that did not draft poorly other than New England?
I was thinking of one in my head, and then I just lost it. The Vikings.
Why the Vikings?
I don't necessarily think they had a bad draft. I think they made dumb decisions. One of which was trading... The Lions traded up for, I believe, Jameson Williams.
I think I looked up the 11 or 12 pick. They traded up to get him.
And then the Vikings got, the 32nd pick. I don't remember the trade exactly, but I remember you and I were sitting, and we both were like, that is the worst trade we have ever seen.
Well, I don't know about the worst trade ever.
It's the worst trade, one of the worst trades ever.
Which, by the way, when Detroit made that trade to go up to 11 or 12, I thought that's where they were going to get Malik Willis. I thought they were trading up to get a quarterback. I was shocked that they took Jameson Williams there. But again, you're segueing right into my teams perfectly. So the second team I have is Green Bay. Now, part of it was not Green Bay's fault because the run on receivers was crazy. I mean, it went London, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams.
No, it went Olave. Olave was before.
Okay, so in the first 12 picks, you had Olave, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams.
I think it was 4 or 5 wide receivers.
Yeah, and then you had A.J. Brown traded to the Eagles. You had Marquis Brown traded to Arizona. And then Dotson from Penn State went earlier than I thought. And then somebody else went. That was another one of my predictions. I think I said 6 wide receivers in the first round. I think 6 wide receivers went in the first 18 picks.
It was Traylon Burks.
Yeah, the dude from Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I think you had 6 wide receivers go in the first 18 picks. So part of it was not Green Bay's fault because who would have seen the run on wide receivers? But and so you can't expect that. But again, they don't have Devontae Adams anymore, and they didn't have an answer for a replacement for him in the draft. I think they got somebody from North Dakota State, South Dakota State.
Christian Watson from
North
Dakota State.
If that's your draft pick to try and replace Devontae Adams, and you didn't do anything else in the offseason to this point, that's a bad draft, and they're a worse team today than they were prior to the draft. So that's my second team that I think could have done better.
Another team that I thought did well. I think both of the New York teams did pretty well.
Well, we already talked about the Jets, obviously.
We did not talk about the Giants, though. I think the Giants did not do as well as the Ravens or the Jets, but I do think that they made their team better. They got Kayvon Thibodeau. They got Evan Neal.
Let me stop you. I think could have been the number 1 pick. Oh, speaking of that was another one of my predictions. I told you who went 1.
Trayvon.
Walker. Now, I said he would not go 1, but he should have gone 1. If I had the first pick, I would have taken him. So, good job on taking him 1. I think it's a much better pick than Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. But Thibodeau, I would have taken Thibodeau over Hutchinson too. So I think you're right. Getting Thibodeau was a great pick. Who else did they get?
They got Evan Neal.
Oh, Evan Neal. Yeah.
But again, the Giants don't really have an offense.
They don't, but again, the Giants are going to give Daniel Jones 1 more year to see what he can do. If I remember, they did not pick up his 5th-year option on his rookie contract. So, and I'm thinking that after this year, he's going to walk away. They're going to have a top 5 pick and hopefully get one of the quarterbacks to come in and replace him. And then that's when you start to build your offense. So I think they're doing a good job. They're starting on defense, build that up, and then they can worry about the offense and see where they go next year.
I mean, all the teams we're talking about are, of course, in rebuild mode. So they all have their flaws.
Except for one. There's one more team on my list.
And who is that?
The Cleveland Browns. You had one job. They had one job during the draft. Would you like to know what that was?
What was it?
That would be to get rid of one Baker Mayfield. That dude is a cancer. He can't stay on that roster. He has got to go away. It's very telling that they can't even give him away. I don't know what kind of trade talks they were having, but nobody wants that guy. Nobody. And they're in a world of hurt because he can't be on the roster opening day. Even if Deshaun Watson gets suspended for a period of games, you can't let Baker stay in that locker room. He's a cancer to that team. It's not going to go well. They need to cut ties with him. And so they couldn't find a trade partner, so they're going to have to release him. They're just going to have to and eat that entire salary. I don't know what else they can do, but they had one job on draft day. That was to get rid of Baker somehow, some way, and they couldn't pull it off.
And you saying that Baker is a cancer he makes everyone just way worse. Because I don't know if you know this, but when Odell caught 2 touchdowns, I think, when he was on the Browns.
Odell played.
He leaves the Browns, goes to the Rams, and every game that I think he played for the Rams, he caught a touchdown.
Odell played great once he got out of Cleveland.
Yes. And everyone was saying while he was in Cleveland, Odell is washed. Odell is bad.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's very telling to me that not one player, coach on the Browns team has complained about what the Browns did to Baker, or nobody has voiced any type of support to keep Baker. It's very telling to me. The guy is just a cancer. There's a fine line between being confident in yourself and having some swagger and just being a complete jackass. And he has crossed the line and is 100 yards down the field, which he typically doesn't get 100 yards down the field because he can't lead a drive. But when it comes to being a jackass, he's 100 yards down the field, and he just... I'm very disappointed in the Browns, even though I'm not a Browns fan, that they could not get rid of that guy. So, I don't know what they're going to do.
I have no clue. I don't think anyone knows where Baker is going to end up. People can say they know, but no one knows. He might, not even leave Cleveland.
No, he has to leave Cleveland.
But he has to.
He has to.
But where will he go?
Only the Browns would keep him. It'd be very Browns-ish of the Browns to keep him.
Yes.
All right. Any other words of wisdom about the draft?
Not really.
Okay.
I thought that it was to rate the draft. I thought First 10 picks were boring. After that, got a little exciting. And I think the rest of the first round was kind of just any normal, usual draft.
So, good podcast. Good to be back. I think the next one, now that the NFL schedule's out, we can review the schedule and start talking, maybe not necessarily predictions, but talk about, where we think teams may fall in the upcoming season. Because there's really nothing else going on in the sports world right now.
I mean, NBA Finals, but it's the finals.
NBA Finals,
to talk about?
Hot garbage. NHL playoffs. Been watching a lot of that. Really good, really entertaining. And the Cubs suck. So, other than that, not much is going on. Although I will say, I'm going to throw a little promo without throwing out a promo. A new movie came out this weekend involving a man by the name of Maverick. I'm not going to throw out the name of the movie because that would be a promotion and we don't have any sponsors. But if you're looking for a tremendous movie, action-packed, pulls at your emotions, check it out. Just check out your local theater and the listings, and I'm sure you can figure out what movie that might be. Tremendous. A+. No, not A+. A. I'll give it a solid A.
Is it better than the other one that there's like a guy named Maverick?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, and we will see you when we talk about the NFL schedules.
And we'll be back at a shorter period of time than this one.
We'll get back to it.
All right.
See you.